All right. So for today, oh man. Before we get into today though, let me tell you a little story. Then we'll get into the point. So here I was literally just like browsing around looking for stuff, and I literally just came across this random trend. Like I was on Reddit. I look for topics on Reddit, and I just browse Reddit because there's some really funny stories on there. Sometimes there's not, and I came across this thing where it said, this microbiologist explains or warns against like making fluffy popcorn. So there was two questions in my mind right now. One, what the hell is fluffy popcorn? Now, the way that I know to make popcorn is like I don't know. Well, I know how to make it, but basically you put the kernels in the pot with the butter and the oil and the kernels they pop. You salt it. You know that maybe fluffy popcorn is with some kind of cheese powder or something. Okay, maybe it's a possible that it was that way, but we dug a bit deeper, and then guess what happened next? The second question is that if it's trending on TikTok, how bad could it be? And so I looked into this trend, and and I can't believe what I found. So basically, I found a bunch of TikToks that were essentially basically making raw cookie dough or raw cake batter with and putting popcorn in and eating it, quote unquote. Or sometimes these food TikToks, they don't actually eat it, just make it for a display or make it to get a reaction, and then you get your views. Regardless, the fact that if anybody actually ate this nonsense is something. But the whole point is that we took a look at it, and we're gonna react to a few of them because when I tell you that these are not real, or when I tell you that it shouldn't be real, this is what I mean. Of course, if you get your food suggestions from TikTok, I might have to look at you a bit sideways. You might have to go check into the local asylum. But besides the point, well, let's react to a couple of these because I shit you not, they are actually insane. Let's take a look. And hey, maybe I can even get a new recipe out of this. Ugh, I had to mute the copyrighted music, but what does that look like? I won't lie, I thought those were like Rice Krispies the first time I saw these, but they're actually like not. They look more like rice food violations. Okay, I'm sorry. But, oh man. On to the next one. Oh man, the song that was playing in there is kind of ironic because, I always feel like somebody's watching me. Yeah, someone's watching you be an idiot. And it kills me. What kills me at the end of this one, in particular, is the fact that I'm assuming it's a woman, so she picks up the popcorn like she's pretending to eat it, but you don't see a person eating this stuff, so it just comes across as performative. Like, makes sense. Oh, oh man. Oh man. Okay, it's okay, guys. We have one more. Just one more, okay? Luckily, the beautiful thing about TikTok is the fact that this content is often very short, so I don't have to burn my brain too much. But, if you guys ever want to rewatch that, you can if you want to, but I digress. I think I got the idea of the recipe. So, essentially, what it does, at least what the recipe is, you have marshmallows, then you have like butter, and then you put in what you call it. You put in the flour or whatever baking soda. You mix it in with the popcorn, and then you get your mix, and then you can add like sprinkles or whatever on it. That's from what I'm understanding. So make sure y'all write that down. Marshmallows, flour. Uh, what am I forgetting? And butter. That's the main like three ingredients that you need. Okay, so before we even get into this, all right, let me tell you why this is bad. Okay, because I feel like I shouldn't have to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyways because you know what? Because TikTok trends are stupid. So essentially, the reason why this is bad is just because whenever you eat something like raw flour, there's a lot of stuff that's still inside the flour that's not really treated. So that's why when you say heat up like flour in a cake batter mix, then guess what? That kills a lot of the harmful bacteria that's within it. That's the short version of what happens. And so if you eat raw food, you get stuff like E. coli and salmonella and all kinds of nonsense. I said salmonella because, well, cake batter usually has eggs in it. So perhaps there's one person who gets a little bit creative with it. But other than that, that's basically it. Now, we could end the video here, but however, I'm not exactly an expert on this stuff. You know, I am not a, microbiologist per se. I did take chemistry for a little bit, but I didn't take any biology, so I can't tell you exactly what happened. However, we do have an expert. I'm putting expert in air quotes because you'll see why in a minute. But anyways, so I decided to go and expand my expertise because perhaps I'm not fully understanding this, because it's kind of like for instance, you have a general idea of how something works, but perhaps somebody could expand the horizon a bit. So in this case here, this person who, for the love of God, I could not find them anywhere on TikTok. I actually I looked extensively. I even looked extensively through Reddit comments, okay, and I did not find a single at. People were talking about the video in question, but I didn't find a single at or nothing. No one recognized who this person was, which is kind of strange because if you're a microbiologist, I would assume that you would leave your at open so people can check out your credentials to see other stuff that you post, but. Sorry, I'm getting a bit carried away. Okay, so I know I said I didn't find her profile beforehand, so I actually ended up finding it completely by accident when I went looking again. So if we actually go through her channel real quick, you actually can see that she does extensively post about different science stuff in general when it comes to her microbiology. So although I did put it in air quotes beforehand, from what I'm looking at, she actually does extensively talk about that. So she has stuff about can mold make you sick and this and that. So it looks like she does, for the most part, do her research on that stuff. So even though I had my doubts about it in the video, I just want to put this here to clear up that we actually did find something. So, it's always good to emphasize this stuff before we keep going. Anyways, just wanted to put that in there. So anyways, let's go and listen to what this microbiologist has to say about it. And we'll keep going from there. Because this is going to get a little more interesting.
Hi, if you value your kidneys, your liver, your colon, you don't want to get colon cancer, autoimmune disease, or potentially lose your life to a stupid snack on TikTok, you should watch this video. Did you know that when you eat raw dough, raw batter, raw cake mix, you are more at risk for getting a bacterial disease from the raw flour than you are from the raw egg? We don't typically think of raw flour as being a raw food, nor do we typically think of it as being a high-risk food. It is indeed both of those things. It's also a third thing, dangerous to eat. Because flour is indeed raw, it does not undergo any sort of pathogen reduction step, meaning it harbors all kinds of nasty bacteria, namely E. coli and salmonella. And I know, I've never gotten sick, and no one I know has ever gotten sick, so it can't be that big of a deal. Unfortunately, things do continue to exist even if we don't experience them. That's why in the last 15 years there's been a number of disease outbreaks related to raw flour, namely from people willingly ingesting raw cookie dough, cake mix, brownie batter, etc. Now, like I said at the beginning, if colon cancer is no big deal for you and you really want an autoimmune disease, by all means, please carry on. But I think you have the right to be fully informed on the risk you're choosing to take on, and I'm guessing the people posting these videos of these snack ideas aren't exactly sharing that with you. Nor are they telling you the advice that is often repeated on the internet, just heat treat the flour, also isn't true and has no evidence supporting it. Let me just be abundantly clear. There's nothing you can do at home to flour that will suddenly make it safe to eat when it's raw. You are putting not only yourself, but anyone who eats that food at risk of a hemorrhagic E. coli infection, of an infection with salmonella, and all of the things that come along with that. These bacterial infections are not something to mess around with. While we've been socialized by our culture and by our society to view food poisoning as no big deal, it is absolutely a big deal. Not only can it damage your organs, not only can it lead to organ loss, not only can it obviously take your life, it can lead to autoimmune disease, it can lead to cancer and a whole bunch of other health problems. Is that really worth the risk for some popcorn? No, it's not.
I know despite the delivery of some of what she was saying is a bit rough, what she did say was this has some merits. Okay, let's give credit where credit is due, right? There is a host of side effects that come with eating raw flour. And as I said earlier, raw flour is basically just unprocessed, not unprocessed, but it's essentially just after all the grains is done and all that. It just has a bunch of stuff in it, okay? So while it being there may not be the most harmful at times, okay? Eating it has a whole different side effect. It's kind of like, I don't know, you have something that's sitting there. If you don't touch it, if you touch it, it's probably fine. But if you eat it, different story. So we're going to look at some side effects of E. coli and salmonella, because that's some of the biggest stuff that could happen when you eat raw flour or raw cake batter in general, which is what we saw in some of these videos. Though it said raw flour for the most part, but I'm still going to include cake batter just because, people do get creative with this stuff. So anyways, so here the most common stuff that I found was there was diarrhea, stomach cramps, vomiting, nausea, and headaches. those were the big ones that came across. And yeah, that's what happens when you have like E. coli and stuff. Because generally speaking, inside of your intestines, you do have a lot of bacteria, but most of them are harmful and actually beneficial. But there are a few bad actors that can give side effects. Like there's some strains of E. coli that are actually good for you, which is as far as my understanding goes, because this is not a biology class. But anyways, so there was one claim that she made where she said that you could get colon cancer, like autoimmune disease. We're going to look into that in a little bit, but I actually want to take a look into some of the CDC investigations which were about raw flour. So I have one case from 2016, 2019, and 2021, and 2023. So we're going to look into each of these four because I believe it's important to understand like exactly what can happen with these causes, and then we're going to circle back into some of these other claims. So just sit back, and you can actually 2 times this part of the video because it will get a little bit lengthy. So you have been told. So here in 2016, we have about 63 people were infected with the outbreak strains of STEC 0121 or STEC 026, and this was reported in 26 states. So they actually provide a map as well if you want to take a look into this stuff. And sources will be linked down below if you want to take a look. And so it suggests that isolates from ill people were closely related genetically. This close genetic relationship means that people in this outbreak were more likely to share a common source of infection. So essentially, it's just laying the groundwork here in this case. And this is all in the details. So the illnesses started on dates ranging from December 21st, 2015 to September 5th, 2016. Ill people range in age from 1 year to 95 with the median age of 18. 76% of ill people were female. 17 ill people were hospitalized. 1 person developed hemolytic uremic syndrome, a type of kidney failure, and no deaths were reported. So while I said in the video, well, she said like, yeah, you get some organ failure, like kidney failure is definitely one of those that can occur from what we're understanding from this report. And so that's just a very brief overview of what happened, but I'm just, like I said, we're painting the picture here because, you know, this stuff is actually kind of serious. Well, actually, not kind of. It is serious. So our next case here, we have, as of July 2019, a total of 21 people were infected with an outbreak of E. coli strain of 026, which was reported in 9 states. And here's a list of states that's provided down below. Illnesses started on dates ranging from December 11, 2018 to May 21st, 2019. So ill people in the range from 7 to 86 with the median age of 24. 71% of ill people were female, of 20 with information available. 15% were hospitalized, and no deaths were reported. So mind you, like bacteria, especially now, is actually very treatable compared to, I don't know, even like maybe 100 years ago when you step in a puddle or you get the wrong cut and you're gone. All right. So here we have the one from 2021, where it says here in September 16, 2021, this outbreak of E. coli infections is over. No additional illnesses reported since the initial notice on July 28, 2021. Epidemiologic data showed that cake mix was likely the source of this outbreak. A common brand of cake mix was not identified as the source of the outbreak. So if you look at the data here, it says here that of the 9 people who were interviewed, 78% reported tasting or eating raw batter with a cake mix. People reported buying different varieties and brands of cake mix. So what I'm going to explain is this, that whenever it comes to like baking, a lot of people, me included, we like to taste our stuff because, you know, sometimes you don't add the right amount of stuff. You know, you're missing a bit of sugar, you're missing a bit of cinnamon, I don't know, you're missing a bit of flour, you gotta mix it over again, you're missing some milk, who knows? So generally people will taste it. However, the portions that you are tasting are very, very small. You're not supposed to eat, like take a spoonful of the stuff. It's like a little piece on your finger and that. Now, I'm not endorsing eating cake batter, but I'm just telling you that's what people generally do when it comes to this stuff. So that's likely what happened when it came to like testing stuff. Or even like as a kid, you ask your parents, hey, can I try this batter? Does it taste good? And then yes, you try it. Of course, you're not eating the cake batter, you're testing it. So mind you, it's all about the dosage. But just keep in mind that there are still risks involved. And now on to our last case here. So we have some data from 2023. And what I'm just going to highlight here real quick is that the sick people ranged in age from 12 to 18, the median age of 64, and 92% were female, of 11 with rare race or ethnicity information available, 10 are white, 1 were Asian, no reported Hispanic ethnicity. Of 13 people with information available, 2 were hospitalized, and no deaths were reported. So This is all like different outbreaks of, from different flower strains from different like batches of raw flour. So this is what I wanted to point to, just because ideally speaking, there will be always like, people who will do stuff like this, but essentially, yeah, eating anything raw in general is not really good for you. That's why in some places, with food regulations, you literally have to cook meat to a certain degree so you don't get sued to get, salmonella poisoning or whatever. So you see what I mean? This is why regulations exist in the first place. So anyways, that's it with the report. So let's go look into some other stuff. So a really bold claim that she made is that you can get colon cancer from this. And to this day, I have never heard of that. So I decided to embark onto multiple different websites and multiple different sources to see what I could find. And so as far as I could tell, as far as I've read upon a lot of them, there is literally no link to eating raw flour and getting colon cancer. And mind you, when I was looking into colon cancer too, there's a lot of factors that can affect it. You can have stuff like smoking increases your chances, like drinking increases your chances, but those in general, it will increase your chances of getting cancer anyways. But you saw, but the closest thing that I found was eating raw meat, not a raw flour, raw meat, or maybe like eggs and stuff is also included in that. That's literally it. I did not find any proof of raw flour connected to this stuff, unless she's trying to imply something a bit different. But what am I getting at here? When it comes to posting information, now I know I don't get my information from TikTok, but to anyone who doesn't even do just a modicum of research, this is very dangerous. Okay, that she makes a claim that is actually not true. Unless somebody has a source that can prove otherwise, I'm open to drop in the comment below and I'll take a look at it. But from the stuff that I looked at, guess what? I did not find any link to colon cancer and eating raw flour. So I found something interesting actually when I was editing this video, because I wanted to check something one more time because something wasn't really lining up with my research. So I actually went back again. And so I found a few studies really briefly that talked about this. So in this one here, it talks about increased colon cancer after severe salmonella infection. So what this one actually says here is the fact that in conclusion to a brief list of bacterial pathogens contributing to cancer, including so far S. typhi infection associated with gallbladder cancer and H. pylori infection with gastric cancer, our data suggests that the major foodborne pathogen Salmonella enteritis associated with colon cancer may be added, while we have described a molecular mechanism for the role of Salmonella in gallbladder carcinoma formation in man and colon cancer in mice. These data have to be confirmed in the human colon cancer samples in patients with a history of severe salmonella infection. So, okay, that's the first part. And the next one I found actually was this one by the BBC, where it says here, a common type of gut bacterium may increase a person's chance of developing bowel cancer, according to a study published in the journal Nature. So just a brief overview where it says the bacterium is a type of E. coli infection present in up to 1 in 5 people. Scientists believe it releases a toxin which experts say can damage the cells that line the bowel, potentially turning some cells cancers over time. There are around 42,000 new cases of bowel cancer each year in the UK. Experts do not know yet how many of these might be linked to the E. coli strain that makes the toxin Colibactin. So, this was posted in 2020 roughly. So what I'll say is this. There is actually a bit more credit to what she was saying with the whole cancer stuff. However, my one critique is just that the way it was presented, and she didn't really explain how you get it, so that's why I was a bit skeptical. So I just want to put this in here just for a bit of clarification, so that, nothing gets mixed up. So there is some actual links to the different bacterium that link to cancer, but of course this is something that is still being extensively researched. However, just I would say just post a bit more sources next time, because I actually had to go back and look again. But anyways, just wanted to clear that up. So back to the video. And the final point is that she also mentioned that people are, like, society downplays food poisoning. Okay, so now I don't know where she heard this from. I don't know who told her that. But if you've ever had, like, eaten the wrong food and had food poisoning, it is not a fun experience. I don't know who the hell can downplay that, because you are literally stuck in the bathroom for longer than you should be, and it's ridiculous. Now, there's also, of course, there's like, treatments and stuff for that, but I'm just saying, like, I've never heard that in my life. So sometimes people just be yakking. In this case, shiyakin. Because what the hell is... What? I have never heard of that. Like, ever. Who downplays it? If anything, I'm pretty sure that stuff is, like, very much emphasized. Because that's what regulations are for. That's why we have them in the first place. So, what are you on about? Anyways, point is, we got a little sidetracked, but... Anyways, the whole point is that if you honestly take food recommendations from TikTok without doing any of your own research, and if you actually, not just TikTok, in general, Twitter, YouTube, and you don't do even that, just look at it yourself, you're going to be in for a bad time. So, to me, this trend doesn't need to be a trend because the idea of eating flour with marshmallows and butter doesn't even sound that good. Maybe in concept, but if it was just like marshmallows and butter, then like, yeah, that could probably slide, but actually probably would slide. But when it comes to putting flour in the mix, you're just basically endangering your life. So please, for the love of God, just, eat your food properly. Just prepare your food properly. And there's literally instructions on the side of your boxes and the side of your flour bags that tell you exactly how to prep your stuff. That's it. There's a reason why it's there in the first place. Of course, the company doesn't want a lawsuit or whatever, but it's there to tell you that this is the steps you got to take in order to do that. So, the fact that this is a trend is actually honestly baffling to me. Ugh, god damn. Honestly, this turned from like a 20-minute, not 20, but like a 10-minute video laughing at a stupid trend to like actually doing a research. Because that's what happens when people just go out and yap. You got to go out and prove that. But anyways, yeah, just eat your food properly. There's nothing else to it. So if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and follow my social down in the description below. But that's it for me today. I'm actually hungry as I'm talking about this, so I'm gonna get something to eat. See ya.